On a quiet Saturday afternoon, children were laughing on the swings, families were sharing snacks under the trees, and the local park seemed like the most peaceful place in the city. But peace has a way of breaking in the most unexpected moments. 3 teenagers, loud and restless, spotted a young woman sitting alone on a bench with her little boy. She looked shy, reserved, her hair tucked neatly, her eyes down on the paperback novel in her hands. They smirked. She looked like the perfect target for a little fun. What no one in the park knew was that this quiet single mom wasn't just shy. She wasn't fragile. She wasn't powerless. She was an undercover FBI agent, trained to handle the kind of danger these bullies could never even imagine. The moment they decided to pick on her, the park would never forget what happened next. Her name was Claire Donovan, 34 years old, raising her 6-year-old son, Ethan, all on her own. To the world, she was just another single mom trying to make ends meet. She worked quietly, avoided unnecessary attention, and gave Ethan every ounce of love she had left after life had stolen so much from her. Claire had lost her husband, a firefighter, in a tragic accident years earlier. Since then, the world seemed colder, harsher, and she had chosen to live simply, never letting anyone see the other side of her. The side that carried a badge and a gun. The side trained to protect a nation. At the park, Ethan ran toward the slides, his laughter carrying across the grass. Claire smiled faintly, flipping her book open. But her peace was short-lived. 3 teenagers swaggered by. They weren't just ordinary kids. They were the kind who thrived on weakness. They laughed too loudly, tossed trash on the ground, and shoved smaller children out of the way just to feel bigger. Their eyes landed on Claire. "Look at her." One sneered. "Sitting there like some scared little mouse. She's got that mom look. Bet she won't even say a word if we mess with her." They circled closer. One pretended to trip, spilling his soda just inches from her shoes. Claire looked up, startled, but said nothing. She simply offered a polite smile, trying not to draw attention. Ethan, however, noticed. He rushed back, his little voice filled with concern. "Mommy, are they bothering you?" The bullies laughed. "Oh, her kid's protecting her. How cute." Claire gently pulled Ethan behind her. Inside, a storm brewed. Her instincts screamed to stand to act. But she couldn't. Not yet. She couldn't reveal who she was over a few arrogant teens. But she also couldn't let Ethan grow up believing silence in the face of cruelty was the only option. She whispered softly to him. "It's okay, Ethan. Some people act out because they don't know better." The teens didn't back off. They pushed further, tossing a crumpled bag at her lap, mocking her for being too scared to fight back. Other parents in the park noticed, but most looked away. No one wanted to intervene. Claire lowered her eyes, hiding the fire building within. Ethan tugged her hand. "Mom, why don't you say something?" Her throat tightened. He didn't know his mother's secret. He didn't know she could disarm a man twice her size in seconds. Or that she had spent years chasing down criminals who made these bullies look like amateurs. To him, she was just mom. And maybe that was the hardest role she ever had to play. But something shifted when one of the teens shoved Ethan lightly on the shoulder, laughing as the boy stumbled. That was the line. And Claire knew lines existed to be drawn. Claire stood up slowly. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't shout. Instead, she fixed her eyes on the teens with a calmness so sharp it cut through their laughter. "Enough." They paused, surprised at the firmness in her tone. "What's that? Finally found your voice," one mocked. Claire stepped forward, her posture changing. The shy, hunched woman seemed to disappear. She stood tall, her shoulders squared, her gaze unflinching. There was something in her eyes, controlled, piercing, that made even the boldest of the 3 hesitate. "You think picking on mothers and children makes you strong," she said quietly, but her words carried across the park. "Let me tell you what strength really looks like." With a few subtle moves, she took the soda can one boy tried to throw again, twisting his wrist in such a way he dropped it before he realized what happened. Another stepped forward aggressively, but Claire sidestepped, sending him off balance with a move so fast most parents watching blinked in disbelief. The teens froze. People were whispering now, eyes widening. Who was this woman? Claire leaned closer, her voice low but unshakable. "Walk away. Right now. You don't want me to show you what happens next." Something in her tone wasn't just a threat, it was a promise. The kind that came from someone who had seen darkness most could never imagine. The teens, suddenly pale, muttered curses under their breath and backed away, their swagger gone. Within seconds, they were out of the park. Ethan looked up at his mom, eyes wide. "Mom, how did you do that?" Claire knelt to his level, brushing his cheek gently. "Because sometimes, Ethan, being quiet doesn't mean being weak. And sometimes, when you have to protect what matters, you show people exactly who you are." The whispers around the park grew louder. One father approached cautiously. "Mom, forgive me for asking, but who are you?" Claire smiled faintly, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "Just a mom." But as she walked away with Ethan's hand in hers, a badge tucked securely in her bag glinted faintly in the sunlight. That day, Ethan didn't just see his mom as the shy woman who read books at the park. He saw her as someone unbreakable, someone who carried a quiet power stronger than anything bullies could throw. And the people who witnessed it would never again mistake silence for weakness. The story closes with an inspiring truth. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who appear the quietest. Strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it sits quietly on a park bench, waiting until the moment it must rise and protect what matters most.